Welcome to welcome to another episode of Iwing Marketplace Chit Chat, where we give the opportunities for entrepreneurs to talk about themselves and what they do. So today we are with two very powerful realtors in Texas and in Nairobi who are helping families, people in the diaspora, and everyone to buy land and homes and properties. Thanks for joining us, Desmond and Isaac.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
So Isaac, let's talk about Kenya. How's the real estate market in Kenya at the moment?
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Ivan, for hosting us, and it's a pleasure. And I'm based in Kenya, Kilimani area, and I am a registered real estate consultant under the laws of Kenya. I help people invest in Kenya, whether you are in the diaspora market or you are based in Kenya. And what I can say, Kenya is witnessing a lot of growth at the moment, and we have several projects coming up very well. And these are from the Chinese, the Egyptians, and even some locals are doing very well in terms developing properties. And for the areas that you should invest in, that is Kilimani, Lavington, Westlands, and Syokimau because of the airport. The returns are very good because you can get minimum 8%. That is when the property, maybe the owner decided to do very few units in the compound. These are high end, very high end units. And then for the mid high end units, good quality, but you can fetch from 10% unfurnished all the way to 14%. And when they furnished, you get from 14% to 20%. And there are even some developers who are getting creative with the investment concepts in Kenya. They are doing hotel apartments. That is, instead of Airbnb, you get into a hotel whereby you'll have breakfast and served to you and room service every day. So those options give you a higher return of up to 20% after the hotel expenses. And these ones are operating with high five-star hotels like Radisson Blue, the Hilton Group, or the Kempinski Group. Those are the well-known hotels in Kenya that are five-star.
Tell me more about the hotel group that you just mentioned. That's Airbnb being operated like a hotel, right?
Yes, yes.
So who are the people investing in this route?
The people, the developers that have specifically specialized in hotel concept apartment are Rapotage from Dubai.
Mm-hmm.
And they have done several projects all over Dubai, Malaysia, and now they have ventured into the Kenyan market and Uganda as well as Nigeria. And in Kenya specifically, right now they have two projects under construction. That is DGJKIA. This is strategically located 5 minutes drive from the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport.
Wow.
They're targeting those people who like living around the airport, but also travel a lot, and also international arrivals.
Okay,
And
so I know there are lots of Kenyans out in the diaspora who are looking for ways to, invest back home so they can, generate wealth. is this something that can be appealing to them?
Yes, real estate investments in Kenya are very appealing because over the time we have had reputable developers, and that is timely delivery of the project. And two, the high returns are quite attractive compared to other countries where there is adequate housing. In Kenya, we are still fighting the shortage for decent and affordable houses. So that gives you a very steady market from both the locals and tourists, given that we get around 3 million tourists every year, and the government is working to increase that number to around 5 million by 2030. So that
Right.
will also increase the demand for Airbnb and furnished unit as well as the hotel apartments.
Wow.
Further, uh, the market is boosted by the flexible payment plan, and it's very affordable. For instance, if say you have $100,000, that can get you a two-bedroom apartment, all en suite, plus a guest toilet in Kilimani. Or it can give you two units in Kilimani of one-bedroom apartments at around $55,000.
So can a property like that give you a good returns on investment?
Yes, the returns on investment, as I stated earlier, you'll be expecting a minimum of 10%, and that is when you buy a unit when it's ready. And when you buy when the unit is under construction, we are talking about 13 all the way to 15% for unfurnished units. And for a furnished unit, we're talking about 14 all the way to 20%, and the variation depends on the stage of entry. For instance, when the developer is groundbreaking, they give groundbreaking discounts. Some give 30%, 40% groundbreaking discount for cash buyers, and they review the prices upwards as the development continues. And when the show house is launched, the prices goes up even higher. So the returns are mostly determined by the stage of entry for an
So what's the
investor.
buying process like for, let's say people in the diaspora, or let's say Kenyan living in the US that want to, invest in the Kenyan market? What's the buying process? What's the buying process like?
The Kenyan market has made it very easy to own a property in Kenya as a foreigner or as a Kenyan living in the US or anywhere else in the world, because you only need your passport and your Kenya Revenue Authority PIN number, or the identification number by the tax collector in Kenya. And that will cost you around, of course, I believe you have your passport as a foreigner or as a Kenyan living in the US. So that should not be an extra cost. But the Kenya Revenue Authority PIN will cost you between $200 at maximum.
Wow. So for like non-Kenyans, right? Or let's say a Cameroonian who's living in the US, or let's say an American or a Nigerian who wants to invest in this market, what's the process like? The buying process?
Um, the process is quite easy. Uh, After you apply for the Kenya Revenue Authority PIN and you have shared your passport with your agent, if you're at all you're not coming to see your properties physically, your agent should share several properties that you can see via tours, virtual tours, or video calls. Or if you're in Kenya, if you are physically in Kenya, you can just visit maybe 3 to 5 properties. You identify the one that suits your needs and is within your budget. And after which, now you sit down with the property developer and agree on a specific selling price. After the selling price is agreed, now the developer will give you an offer letter that is valid for 7 to 14 days. And that offer letter stipulates the term and allows the developer to release all the due diligence documents, that is the property title and property design and approvals, all of which will enable you to do your due diligence. And because especially for Nairobi, the search is digitized, the title search will take you maximum a day. The drawing and design search or interpretation, if you need that, will take you probably a day. So 7 days is quite adequate, after which, before or on the 7th day or the 14th day, depending on the agreement with the offer letter that you are given, you should sign the offer letter and pay the deposit. The deposit is usually between 10 to 30%. So if you're talking about 100,000 US dollars, that is 30,000 US dollars as the highest deposit. And this amount now reserves your unit, after which now you start working on the sales agreement. The sales agreement secures your purchase as an off-plan investor. And this document, because of, you see, you're investing a lot of dollars, takes you around 3 to 4 weeks, or the shortest period, I can say 2 weeks. And we don't like rushing anyone during the sales agreement because, as I said, this is what secures you as an investor, especially when you're buying an off-plan property. And it involves a conversation between you, your lawyer, and the developer, and the developer's lawyer. And this ensures all the clauses that you need included, all the clauses that protect you and protect the developer are within the agreement, and you have personally understood them. That's why I said we don't rush anyone. And after the sales agreement is signed, if there is further deposit to be made, you make now the deposit consequently until the development is handed over to you, after which you now get the section or title. And for foreigners, it is well to mention that as a foreigner and also for sectional properties, you can only own for a lease term of maximum 99 years, but this is renewable. After the 99 years, this is renewable. And you should not be scared of getting chased away by the government or anyone, because if the government does not remind you that your lease is expiring, the National Land Commission, should be sued by the property owner.
So what are some of the red flags, like 3 red flags, people should watch for when buying properties in Kenya, people in the US and around the world?
The first red flag is the history of the developer. If the history is questionable, you should be very careful. Of course, there are developers who turn around because maybe they got a cash injection. But if there is no cash injection and the property has stayed in the market for so long, that is a very huge red flag. The second thing is the release or the frankness into which the developer releases the document. Once you get an offer letter, you're entitled to get all the documents relating into the property. That is the CR12. This is a document that shows the investors, the group of investors or the company owners doing the project, the title, and the status of the title. Does it have any encumbrances, the approvals, and the national environment management approvals. If a developer is hesitant releasing those documents, you should run away, because there is no development that will be allowed in Kenya to go on without approvals. And lastly is you should be also be very careful when investing in a property in Kenya, and the developer does not disclose that the type of financing they're getting. If the developer has charged the title, it should be disclosed from the beginning, so that the time of delivery or when you agree on the sales agreement, your unit is discharged immediately after your purchase. That ensures that you don't have to face the bank or the financier after the developer failed to pay his dues. I think those are the primary red flags.
That's nice one. I mean, thanks for giving us some detailed explanation. But let's talk to Desmond now. Desmond, who is helping people from all over the U.S. To relocate to Texas, and is also partnering with Isaac to even help people that are interested, in buying properties in Kenya, find the right information. Thanks for joining us, Desmond. You've been in Kenya. What was your views about the properties in Kenya? We can't hear you. Your audio is.
Once more, thank you so much for having me on here. My name is Desmond Suitable, a realtor with EXP here in Dallas, Texas. I'm also a global real estate agent because I'm actually able to sell out of America, whether it's Canada, Europe, or Africa. So I've actually partnered with Mr. Isaac in Nairobi because 2 months ago I was there, and the market was really interesting as compared to what I see here with respect to the numbers and the friendliness of the area. So when it comes to real estate out of America, I have investors that have been trying to, get properties for investment here in America, and most of those properties are not cash flowing. So with respect to the high interest rate that we have here and the cost, and then when you compare the rentals and how much you get in for those investment properties, I I ran the numbers with Isaac, and the properties in Kenya had a very high rate of cash flowing than some properties here. So if someone is looking to diversify their portfolio, I'm not saying the real estate here is that bad, but I'm just saying if someone really wants to diversify their portfolio out of America, Nairobi should be on top of your list. I mean, I also have partnered in Dubai, and I have agents in Dubai that we work with too as well for those who want to invest out of the US. But when we look at the numbers and we run the numbers, Kenya is right up there. So, like what Isaac said, with respect to those apartments for 55,000 and the one for 100 under 100,000, the 2 bedrooms, when you run the numbers and you see how much you're putting down and to see how long it will pay off itself, it's about 5 to 7 years, depending on which one you choose. And depending on if you're going for long-term rentals or short-term rentals like Airbnb. So those numbers were really fascinating, and the area is really welcoming and friendly. The climate is really good. So if you really want to diversify your portfolio, we have a team that is set up. Isaac is there. He has so many developers that he's working with. My job here is to actually coordinate the process with you and to make sure that you are in good hands, because I want you to gain the trust. Because what we're building a team that can be trusted, a team that can deliver. We're building a team that will actually, look into your needs and deliver for you. That's what we're trying to do here.
That's good. I'm glad that you're not only focusing getting people into Texas, but helping people to diversify their investment and get a higher return of investment wherever they choose to invest. That's very powerful, That's more. So, but let's look at the numbers again in comparison with Kenya. So I know when you have like $200,000, right? What can it give you in Texas, versus in Kenya?
Well, right now, I'm not sure 200,000 can actually even get you a two-bedroom, two-bathroom in Dallas. To be frank, if you want to drive out of Dallas and go a little bit further, like maybe an hour or 45 minutes to get a property for like let's say three-bedroom, two-bath, or an apartment of two-bedroom, two-bath, it's gonna be about $260,000, $250,000. And the mortgage for that, depending on the interest rate you get, is going to be about 1600, 1700, right? But if you take let's say for example an apartment of 55,000 in Nairobi, first, the advantage there is you're not worried about your credit score. You're not worried about, oh, I need to be in a job for over 2 years. They need to verify my job. No, it's how much you're putting down. Let's say you put the 20% down for an apartment. Let's round it up to 60,000 for a one-bedroom apartment in Nairobi, right? It's gonna be about 12,000 down payment if you're going with 20%, for example. So with that, you have, if the delivery date, for example, is June of 2027, you have about 18 months to make your payment to complete that 60,000. So when you complete it, you have no interest rate, no interest on the payment. It's fully paid off. But now you have 5 years to make that. To 5 years will pay off itself for that property, for that investment. But here, when you buy, you are under 30 years, you're gonna pay it for 30 years, right? You have interest rate about 6% right now. The calculation how much you're paying on interest rate now for those properties is really high. So when you are running the numbers and comparing, let's say for example, you had to even finance. What you're financing is going to be about 48,000 in Kenya, right? Depending on the interest rate. Now, financing also depends on the lender that you have to choose. So if you look at the numbers and how and the time they give you in Kenya to pay your property without an interest rate is, you can't compare it here, because here immediately you buy your property, you start paying the interest rate on the property here in Dallas. So those numbers, those are some of the things that we actually consider. We look at the price, we look at how much you're getting, and the interest rates. We look at the factors like the taxes that you have to pay, the HOA, and all of that. When you look at the fees in Kenya, is really minimal as compared to here. So those are some of the numbers that we're looking at, because there are so many factors that are associated to it.
I like the fact that 5 years you can pay off your mortgage, right, in Kenya. And you own the property.
Yes, if you pay it off, it pays off itself within that period. If you go with the 10 to 14% return on investment, right, within that period, you pay off itself. So, so when you look at those numbers, if you really want to diversify, those are some areas and numbers that you can consider.
And since cost of buying is low, take for example, like 100,000 can get you 2 apartments. You said is it possible for like people can pay cash and get it without going through loans and stuff?
Yeah, when you go for cash, and Isaac can run those numbers, cash buying gives you extra discount, by the way. When you are financing, you have the time to pay. They probably just give you with the price that is on. But if you have cash, you have a discount, and Isaac can run the numbers. It's a two. The 100,000 can get you a 2-bedroom apartment in suite and a half bathroom. Therefore, all the 2 rooms have their internal bathrooms, and they has a half bathroom for visitors. That's what it means. Not like 2 separate apartments, but 2-bedroom apartment with their own bathrooms and then a visitor's bathroom. That's what it means. So Isaac can even run the numbers. If you are a cash buyer, you have good discount, especially.
So if you buy that, take for example in the US, you buy that, right? Yeah. And how can you use that as an investment? I know Airbnb is one. And do you have people that can manage it for you?
Yeah. So okay. So as people in the diaspora, if you are investing in Nairobi, for example, and you don't want to go there, I travel there often to actually help my clients sort out the best properties there, because I've been there and I'm still going back in February. And I'm going there because I have a few people that wants to also purchase their own apartments. So what we do is to actually look at the locations, look at the various floors, because some of them are like 27 floors. You have to choose, which floor, where it's facing, and all of that. So we help in that to actually identify and aid you choose for it. But now the management of those properties. So there are different ways that you can use to manage, depending if you're going long term, whether you're doing the long term leasing or short term rentals, right? You can get management companies, which Isaac, they do have good management companies that can actually take care of that for you. You don't need to worry about that. It is, as he said, it's a digitalized system. It's not like, for example, where I come, my own country, where I know, let me not put them down, but where things are still on paper, but they have a digitalized system that they can actually help with the management process. You can control from here and work with those management companies that are on ground in Nairobi, and Isaac can always help with that.
Wow. So guys, if you're watching this and you're looking for ways to invest money, Kenya is one of the best places, and Desmond Suitable is the guy that can, help you to, make that investment comes true. So, but Desmond, there are people that will be watching this video, and they want to invest in Kenya and in Texas as well. What are like 3 questions they should be asking? They should be asking you or rate or themselves,
Okay, so if there are 3 things you want to, when you are investing, that you have to look for, first you have to look at the location, because in real estate there are 3 things, right? Location. When you want to invest, you have to consider those 3 things, because first, with the location, it determines the appreciation of your property. It depends also the security of that area. It actually determines how much you can make with respect to that location. So when you choose a location, now you start considering the price, because price is key, right? You don't want to invest where you put your money and the money doesn't work for you. You want a place where if you put in your money works for you. But over time also, what's the potential of the equity growth? Because when you're buying, your hope is not only cash flowing, but also for that property to grow equity. So what's the potential that what I'm buying now? If I'm buying something for 100,000, in the next 10 years, this is going to be 150,000. That's equity. So we forget that when we're looking at the numbers, it's not only about the cash flowing. Yes, cash flowing. This property I bought for 50,000. Within 5 years, it has paid off itself and I have my money back. But now, apart from the continuous cash flow, is it also growing in equity? And that equity is tied down to the location. Because some areas, if you're not in a good location, if the security is not good, it doesn't have good school district, it doesn't have hospitals, it doesn't have malls around, proximity to those areas also will help your equity growth over time. So those are some of the things that you have to consider when you're trying to invest, right? You look at the potential long term of how your property is going to grow in value and not only in the cash flow. So those are some of the things that you have to look. Then also now you narrow down to your budget, because at the same time, the locate with the location, the price also increases. But when you want to discuss now with experts, they have to look at your budget, how much you have to spend for that. Then they'll be able to advise you. So if you want to invest in Texas, how much minimum do are you considering in investing, and how much are you expecting? Is it worth it? There are some investment that maybe is not a good investment here in Texas, but in other states it's a good investment. For example, if you are buying in the Midwest, Indiana, Ohio, or Chicago, right, for investment property, you don't have enough money. You can actually have some cash flowing properties that you will not have in Texas because of the location and the market in those areas. So us as agents, what we are able to provide for you are those things. We'll discuss with you respect to your budget, locations, and then the potential of growth of your property and the potential of cash flow. Those things are very important to us, and those are the things that will helping you as agent discuss and you know, run those numbers for you so that you make an educated decision. Because at the end, we're not making the decisions for you, we're providing you with data, because with that data it helps you make an educated decision. So
Wow.
that's what
That's
we,
amazing.
yeah.
That is great. Let's talk about some real life experience. Isaac, you probably must have helped some buyers from the US, you know, acquire properties in Kenya, right?
Yeah, I have helped.
What was the journey like? What were their fear?
Uh, the journey is always not so easy because one, uh, you're now venturing into a new market, and there's fear of will there be political stability? Uh, will there be a tenant for my unit? And who will manage the property for me? And also, will the development be developed on time? Those are the most of the questions that any foreigner or any real estate investor will ask you, because they're investing to get returns and equity in terms of appreciation. And I think most of the developers have addressed most of these issues, because in Kenya, when you develop your unit on time, your project on time, there's high chance when you're groundbreaking on the next project, by the first week of groundbreaking, or even before groundbreaking, once you get the approvals, you'll have sold about 20 to 30% of the unit, because your reputation precedes you. So one way to address that is dealing with a very reputable developer, and there are quite a number. I can even mention like the Oak developers. They have a project coming up in Westlands, and you can Google this. It is Brookside, Brookside Oak, or Brookside One. Yeah, Brookside One. Sorry. And the most amazing thing is that this project right now is on the second basement of construction, and they are 70% sold out. This is because for all the previous 6 or 7 projects the developer has had, they have delivered on time, and they are doing some very good quality products, and their reputation speaks for themselves. And how about tenants? Most of these developers have management companies. They appoint a management company that will get you a tenant, remit your collections on time, and some also do even the taxation bit. So
Wow. So like
it's
you if you're in the US and you buy a property for investment in Kenya, you don't even have to worry much about, taxes, tenants that will be renting, money collection and all of that. Wow.
yeah.
So the buyers that you've helped, get properties in Kenya, how did they find you? What was the process of you working with them like? And how was the outcome? What was the outcome?
Okay. Most of the foreign investors who have come to me have found me via my writings on LinkedIn and X channel, whereby I write a lot about the real estate market. This is about I like being neutral, what is good and what is bad. And so, given that I pursued a degree in real estate, I also do content tours. We did some with Desmond, a lot of tours with him, and this has helped me gain traction. And once you view your property or identify your property that you want and your budget, The journey is quite easy because now it's just the paperwork, and some have didn't even come to Kenya. There's somebody who will come to Kenya after 2028. This is when his 7 investment will be ready. And although he relocated from US, he's in Luxembourg at the moment. But this is among my best investors. He has bought 7 properties from me without coming to the site. And actually, at the moment, I have his property titles. He's waiting for the second last title to get ready so that I can ship them to Luxembourg. So the process is quite easy when you have somebody you can trust on ground.
Wow, amazing. Kudos. You're doing really well. So
Thank you.
what mistake have some of the buyers made, and what did you learn from those mistakes?
I'll go back to the reputation of the developer. And this is really critical. And that's why agents come into play when you're investing. Because, for instance, I'll use my case and the case of Desmond. We have over 10 years combined experience. And if you add education, for me, that would make the experience 14 years because I pursued a degree in real estate. And these are, when an agent studies the market and they give you data of the market, we also identify developers who delay so much. And let me use this example. There is a project that is coming up in Lavington, and it has taken a total of 10 years. It began in 2016, and right now it's when the developer is doing the finishes. There is someone who invested more than around 1 million US dollars, and the project was supposed to be delivered by December 2019. But unfortunately, 6 years down the line, actually now it's 7, the project is not yet ready. And this somebody has lost the money they invested. It's about 1 million US dollars. It was Kenyan shillings, 83 million in cash. And he actually went to court, and the 83 million is yet to be recouped, and still he's yet to get nothing. But with the experience of an agent, because we identify such developers, we put them away or put them on a it's like we scout for the best developers. And we also know the laws of the land. If a property is on riparian land, we will tell you that is a no-go zone. If a property doesn't have approvals, we'll tell you that is a no-go zone. So these are the things that your agent is like somebody who protects you, and then your lawyer comes to enhance your protection and your investment. So make sure you have the right persons working with you in your real estate investment, because maybe you have decided to invest in real estate and this to you is like maybe 6 months period, but for an agent is their lifetime.
Wow, this session has been wonderful, And guys, if you've been thinking about buying in Kenya or Texas, the key is to get informed and get trusted realtors that can help you through this process, And if you need more information, you can contact Desmond Suitable. That's his number. And you can also contact Isaac, who is presently in Nairobi. They are equipped with information, and like Isaac said, he knows the laws of the land and is ready to guide you. So this has been a wonderful conversation, guys. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us, Ivan.
You're welcome. Guys, please, the full interview will be available on YouTube. Please watch it and please share to people you know that have saved some money and are looking for ways that they can invest that money, not only in the US, but, out of the US. Thanks for watching, guys. And we are out.
Thank you.
Thank you.